Milton wrote Paradise Lost, his biblical epic that seeks to, quote, justify the ways of God to man, in the 1660s. When Adam and Eve have been caught eating the fruit of knowledge, there's a passage that's always struck me because I think it relates to Milton's own life at the time. Here's what Milton's Adam says after learning that he and Eve will be banished from the garden in Book 10. "O miserable of happy, is this the end of this new glorious world, and me so late the glory of that glory, who now become accursed of blessed?" And he goes on about the fleeting joys of paradise and losing the delicious garden. And similarly, in Book 11, the next book, Eve adds, when leaving paradise, "Must I leave thee, paradise? Thus leave thee, native soil, these happy walks and shades, fit haunt of gods?" When reading these lines, I've always wondered if, through them, Milton was expressing his sadness at his own situation. In the 1660s, he had lost his sight and his beloved Commonwealth, which was his own paradise of a land governed by a parliament and the rule of law, and which enabled freedom of the press. The Commonwealth had gradually become more restrictive and had degenerated into a dictatorship, but by 1660 the monarchy had been restored, and this was the final blow, the real end of paradise on earth. And again, the invocation of tropical beauty was even more poignant for a man who had gone blind while all this was happening. Of course, Paradise Lost has its consolation. After Adam and Eve prayed to show their penitence, God reveals that, after death, if a person has been, quote, tried in sharp tribulation and refined by faith and faithful works, this person will be rewarded with a second life. God tells Michael to relay the good news to Adam and Eve, and thus we have the ostensible justification for the banishment from paradise. So that's the theological angle, but what about the political? Did Milton hope that we'd return to the paradise of parliamentary rule at some future point? He obviously couldn't have expressed that hope explicitly, but consider the conclusion of Paradise Regained, published in 1671, in which Jesus rejects the temptations of Satan. Angels saying that Jesus, quote, by vanquishing temptation, hast regained lost paradise, and that, quote, a fairer paradise is founded now for mankind. Perhaps Milton hoped that religious salvation would echo a civil salvation.